held at Eiffel TV in association with MTK Global and with the champ, none other than Mr. Tyrone Nurse. How you feeling, mate?
I'm good, man. You?
I'm alright. Firstly, let's talk about Joe Hughes. It's a big fight for him and for yourself. He's stepping up to take an opportunity that it looks like a lot of people didn't want to take. Before we get to that, let's talk firstly about Joe and give him the respect he deserves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give him full respect. You know, training camp, I'm going to train for him like I'd train for the Golovkin fight or the Mayweather fight. You know, I'm going to treat every fight the same. You know, he's got 2 hands, 2 legs like anyone else. So, you know, he's always a way to win. So, you know, he's coming, he's getting an opportunity. You probably want to expect him. So he's going to try and grasp that opportunity with both hands. You know, I think I'll be too good for him on the night. I think it'll come down to me winning, without a doubt. But, you know, he's coming for his opportunity, and I'm expecting him to come and, you know, give it his all.
Is it frustrating that you haven't been able to win the British outright, that you haven't had that mandatory commitment to fulfil, or getting that opportunity to get your hands and keeping the title to move on, etc.?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, this is a third voluntary defence, which I don't need it really. You know, it's just a payday. Really, that's what it is. It's no notches to anything. It's a fight and a payday. That's what it is.
Is it quite risky though, having that mentality?
No, because I'm still going to respect him and go in and treat him the fight as if it were a mandatory. Don't get me wrong, but you know, and that's all it is. You know, it would have been nice to just have a mandatory and get moved on. But you know, obviously, like I said in the press conference and like you just said, I've been pretty unlucky in that the fighters that have been mandated, and obviously I've fancied the chances.
Speak about some of the fighters that didn't fancy the chance. I mean, Jack Catterall, I know he had a sort of a relocation in training teams, etc. Whatever the case is.
Yeah, he moved trainers,
he moved trainers, so maybe it didn't suit him at the time.
Yeah, but you know, it's like Tommy says, he's been given opportunities and he's took them, and that's what it comes down to. And there's you know, the way boxing works, if you want to become a mandatory in boxing border control, you apply for that position. You know, 90% of the time the fighters teams ask for that position. We want to be mandatory, blah blah blah. So you know, it's a 6-7 month process. So why then, once it's announced and then purse bids have gone in, why are you wasting time? You know,
is that how you see it? As your time's been wasted?
Yeah, my time's been wasted essentially. Well, it hasn't, because at the end of the day I got two voluntaries in, you know, so that in that sense I got a lot of the work out of the way then, you know, by beating Le Monde and beating Coyle. So, but at the same time, you know, I'm wanting to progress. I want to move on. I want a world ranking like these guys have got with the WBA, whatever's, and IBFs and WBCs. You know, I want that too. So obviously beforehand we didn't have a set promoter. I wasn't signed to anyone. Eddie and we're putting in on shows and whatever. But now, you know, now we've got Warren backing us with BT Sport and that. You know, I can see that them sort of things happening now. You know, he's already tried to get me. We've already worked on a European title fight. That didn't come off because of whatever the kids' team didn't fancy it or whatever reason. They think they're too close to a world title. You know, you'll hear all sorts of different stories. You know, but you know, to be honest, we've had no luck with mandatories from talking back to when our English champion Shane Singleton gave it up so I could fight for it. Brother Saunders, who made them mandatory, he withdrew. They then made me and Saunders the final eliminator for the British and the English. That didn't happen. The board made me and Lenny Dawes for the English. Didn't happen. And obviously, with the British, things have worked out now. You know, we are where we are.
Davis on the mandatory list as well.
Yeah, Jack Catterall was the first mandatory, and then O'Hara Davis became the second one. You know, it's that fight's not come off because obviously they had the Derry Matthews fight, but you know. What is it to be said? You know what I mean? It's you know, I get in the ring and I fight whoever.
As signing with Frank Warren and having the support, the promoter's showing faith in you. I mean, I'm not disrespecting any of your past people you've worked with by any means, but that someone's shown faith into you to put up the cash that you've been required to get you to sign. Does that add more confidence to you as a fighter?
No, I've always been confident anyway. You know, it's but it does. You know, it puts something there. I don't know what the word is, because obviously you've got someone who wants the better for you. You know, they're working for you, so you're saying to them, but they're working to better you because it creates better advertising for them, and etc. etc. I mean, I don't know how much I can say, but I mean the first fight that the team worked on, well, massive opportunity. You know, when I think we signed in December, I'm getting fucked. When I meet my dad at the gym on a Tuesday morning in mid-February, he says, you know, they're working on this fight for you, blah blah blah. And I mean, it was a massive opportunity. You wouldn't even be able to begin thinking what it was. And because I don't know how much I can or can't say. I'm not going to put it out there. Obviously, we'll find out. We'll find out what can be said, and then, you know, it can be put out there. You know, but you know, it was good because then I'm sat in cafe with this, like we're having a couple before training, and and they're talking like that already. It just made me think, well, they obviously believe in me as much as we believe in me, so it's a good feeling.
Your dad asked probably the best question I've heard in years in a press conference. I didn't expect it myself.
He loves shit staring, doesn't he?
Not just a one fighter as well. He made the whole table give an opinion, which I thought was fantastic. He said, to each man, name one British fighter you want to wallop. Now you was quite diplomatic with your answer. I don't know why, because it was your dad answering the question, so he probably thought he probably wanted you to put it on someone more than anyone. But what was you really
if he'd asked that question, he'd rather someone else ask that question to just me. That were his question for me. That I'm not daft, I know it.
Now,
But
I'm going to do your dad a favour here. There's one person in the British scene you can wallop. Who's it going to be?
I couldn't give you a name, because it's like I said before. We've got 2 arms, 2 legs. I just like fighting. I like fighting. At the end of the day, I like fighting. And if it's Warren Davis, if it's Jack Catterall, whoever it is, I don't care. I want to fight. I like fighting. I want to fight good fighters, and that's what it comes down to.
Is it inevitable that these fights, the 2 fights in particular you just mentioned in yourself, will meet in the future?
You never know. At the end of the day, it's Tommy Langford just made a good point to me. He says, how the hell do you still make 10 stone? And I'm supposed to be fighting 3 weeks after the fight in Leeds, and basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna test the waters at welterweight. See how I feel it. I'm not a fully fledged welterweight yet, but we can get in, see how it feels, and if it feels good, then just fuck it off and move up. The fights are happening at light welter, so.
Do you struggle to make weight though? Is it a concern?
No, I'm
not. As
not.
you're getting older, mate.
I'm not sat dying on sofa for a week before a fight. Put it that way. It's not a struggle to that extent. I can still make the weight. Because if for whatever reason opportunity came and they said, oh, do you want to fight Terence Crawford? And I'd had 3 fights at welterweight, and it might end at year. I reckon I could still probably do 10 stone then.
There's an old saying: if something's not broke, don't fix it.
There is that, but then why should I keep wasting my time sitting?
Do you think the bigger fights are at welter for you?
There could be. That's it. But at the same time, if I then fight at welterweight and I'm performing better because my body feels better, and then that's obviously the way to go. So. It's something that only time will tell, but it's inevitable. I'm going to end up there eventually. Anyway.
You're massive for light welter.
Yeah. So.
Truly, like I said, as your man said, it's quite a mind-boggling how you make that so convincingly.
I mean, it's like when Eddie and Matchroom mentioned the Sean Porter fight to us. I don't remember it was summertime last year or something. My dad rung me, says, look, we're going off for the fight. Give me all the details. He didn't tell me a name. He says it's an American. His initials are SP. And I couldn't think for life in me who the hell they were ringing and talking about. So I said, just fucking tell me, man. Just tell me who it is. I'm on for about 15 minutes. I'm parked up at gym to go into the gym, and he's to go do some cardio. He says, Sean Porter. I'm seriously. He went, yeah. He says, they're offering this much. And I sat there and I went, I'll ring you back in 10 minutes. So about 4 minutes later, I ring back and said, fuck it, we're doing it. I said, and that was the same thing again. It was for me, that were testing yourself at such a high level, But again, I was looking at it as well. We could test the waters of welter as well, Even I'm talking about them, we were looking at them options. So it's gonna happen eventually. But at the moment, my feet are firmly on the ground. I'm gonna fight Joe Hughes, beat Joe Hughes, and then obviously of no injuries, I'll be fighting 3 weeks later in Leeds on the Warrington Nicholas bill.
Expecting a great card here in Leicester. Wish yourself and Joe best of luck. May the best man win. Thank you very much for your time on TV.
Thank you.